Been seeing a lot of comments online about how the execution, I think in South Carolina, was botched deliberately. The cops must have been trying to make the guy suffer. There were apparently 3 shooters for a firing squad execution, and they were 5 yards away, and people saying, oh, they missed his heart on purpose. How could you miss it 5 yards? Blah, 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 blah. It's important to understand how bullets work. Bullets do not fly straight. Bullets actually arc. Now, what I've done, and I'm going to bring it over here, this is a 5-shot group, not a very good one. I'm using garbage tier ammunition with a 22 from 50 yards. I was firing from back there over by the white bench. So 50 yards, I was aiming at the center of this black spot right here. And I fired my first round, second, third, fourth, fifth. The rifle had been set for over 100 yards, or for, I think, at 100 yards. So I had already, trying to taken a few shots to kind of work it in to get it close. So I probably do still need to drift it a little bit to the right in order to, get it exactly where it needs to be. But again, it's garbage ammunition, and I'm not the world's greatest shooter. You put this same rifle with better ammunition in the hands of a very good shooter, and this little group, they would be able to keep all 5 right in this little circle at 50 yards, because I was shooting from a rest. I'm assuming that the executioners were shooting from a rest. That means that your rifle is sitting on something. Like right now, the rifle is sitting on the bag, so when I was shooting earlier, I was laying behind the rifle back over there by that bench, so that gives me more stability, so I'm not shooting offhand. I'm going to be shooting this part here offhand, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim at this target on the right, and I'm going to be aiming the same place. Now, in order to avoid any issues with first focal plane, second focal plane, it's nerdy shooting stuff involving the scope, I'm going to keep the same setting. Now, I had it set at about 6.5 when I was shooting this. I was getting a fair amount of glare from the sun up there. I tried to put it on 9 so I'd get the absolute maximum, view of the target in order to be able to put together as the best group possible. I couldn't do it. Basically, the glare on the scope was making that just completely untenable at 9. So I dialed it back to 6.5. I can dial it all the way back to 3, but I'm going to leave it on 6.5, and I'm going to aim right here. But I'm going to do it from about 5 yards away, right where that bag is. I'm just going to stand right there, and I'm going to aim right here. I'm going to try to put the phone. Hopefully, it'll show, the target here. But we'll see. Anyway, if I can keep it there, great. If I can't, okay. So I'm going to stop the video for just 1 second, put the phone down, try to get myself set up, and then I'm going to start the video again. I'll take the 5 shots, stop the video again, and then, kind of wrap up. And the reason I'm going to do that is because if it screws up the video in between, then I just won't put the shooting section. Alrighty, so I have the phone set up. And so now, hopefully I won't disturb it as I am picking up the rifle. Looks like I did not. So hopefully it's going to capture this. And again, I'm going to aim right at that center block, the little black. Oh man, that's blurry looking through the 6.5. Hit low. I was actually moving, and I pulled the rifle up a little bit just as I let the shot go. Let me see if I can correct that. Hit low. God, I can't see through this thing at 6.5. I think that was me again pulling it up, but let's see. There we go. That felt like a pretty good shot. All right, we will see how this works out. It's going to be kind of hard to see that orange corner just because the scope at 6.5 power is ridiculously blurry at this range. Oh my goodness. There we go. Oh my God, the blur. All right, so now we can take another look. We still have the 3-hole group that I shot earlier. Here's one little flyer that I pulled low. All the rest are right in here. So that shows me that the first time I was shooting, the 2 that were high, that was me. I was pulling them. So the first group aiming here, I was hitting right about here. So aiming about, about an inch lower at 5 yards than at 50, well, an inch lower than the point of aim. The point of impact was about an inch lower. Here, I was aiming up here, kind of right above where the orange corner is. And all 4 out of the 5, this one's on me, 4 out of the 5 are all right there. And so, in order to hit something, to get the point of aim and the point of impact to be the same, the guys doing the execution would have had to have taken the rifle to the range, shot it at 5 yards, which you probably can't get the scope to go down to a 5-yard range. I mean, you probably can't correct it down that far. And so instead of that, they would have had to do Kentucky windage or hold over, which is what I was doing. I was holding the scope, the little crosshair right up here, and the bullets were hitting very reliably down below by about an inch or so at 5 yards. And you may think, well, an inch isn't a big deal, but remember, this is versus 50 yards, not 100, which most 308 rifles, and I understand they use 308s, most of those are set for 100 yards, maybe farther. And so their point of impact at 5 yards is not going to be the same. It's just not. At 100 yards, they should all be here. But at 5 yards, you're going to see them like way the heck up here. Well, if the guy's heart is only this big, that's about the size of a fist, about the size of a human heart. At 100 yards, if their rifles are set for 100, their 5-yard shots are going to hit way above it. They're not going to be in the desired point of impact. So their point of aim, if they're looking through their scopes or they're looking through their iron sights, whichever they had on their rifles, and they're set for 100 yards, and the little tape or whatever is right on that guy's right at that guy's heart, and it's perfect. It's right where it needs to be. They're going to be shooting above it. Well, they're going to hit above it. Their point of aim is here, but their point of impact is going to be up there. And so that's why the guy most likely wound up suffering for, 80 seconds or something. And you can go back and forth on whether or not, the state should be executing anybody. And if they're executing people, whether they should make sure they don't suffer. That's up to you. But the physics involved in shooting suggests very strongly that the cops were doing exactly what they were told to, which is aim right at that little whatever mark they had on the guy's chest. God, that's hard to see in the glare. So, they were aiming right here, but their rifles were set for 100 yards, so the bullets were hitting much higher. That's my guess on what happened. And just one more little thing on sighting. I used my PTR MP5 clone, and I was shooting, put this down real quick. I was shooting at 5 yards, because that's what I have the red dot set for, because it's a home defense kind of a gun, so I wanted to make sure that I can hit things within my living room, those kind of distances, not very far. And so they were all right around in here at 5 yards, kind of what you'd expect. Okay, I stepped back to 25 yards, and let me see if this is coming through. Yep, right up here, sorry, I'm trying to do this backwards. Right up here is 25 yards. I was still aiming right here. So my point of aim both times was right here in this gaping hole. But the point of impact at 5 yards, the point of impact at 25 yards, same guns, same ammunition, same wind conditions, same elevation, all that kind of stuff. Everything exactly the same, except 5 yards is where the sight is set for. And so at 15, they were going high. Or I'm sorry, 25 rather. They were going high. So, when people are talking authoritatively about how, those guys, they must have been trying to torture that man during the execution, I can't rule it out. If I was walking up to the line and they said, here's this rifle, my first question is, well, what range are we sighted out here? If I haven't had a chance to shoot the gun, I'm going to have that question. Maybe they didn't. Lots of cops really don't know much about guns, believe it or not. Especially not guns they're not used to handling, like a .308 caliber rifle. Your average police officer probably didn't do that very much. I had a friend who was a prison guard in the tower. They had a Mini 14. He had never fired that gun. I believe to this day he's never fired a Mini 14. So sometimes they just hand him equipment and say, here you go, and then the officer does the best the officer can do with it. And it's not really his fault. It's more a fault of the training piece and making sure that everybody knows exactly how the machinery, in this case the firearms, are going to operate at the ranges in which the weapons are going to be used. And so again, this was just a demonstration that there is a very plausible explanation for why the officers weren't able to kill that man right away, even though it was only 5 yards. You know, you're only 15 feet away. The gun sticks out 2.5, you know, so you're only 13 feet from the end of the muzzle, maybe even closer to 12. You know, it's not a great distance, but if you're using an optic or if you're using sights that are set for 100 yards, it can make a huge difference in terms of point of aim versus point of impact.